Yep, today we're starting a new series, 7. And today we're talking about the 7 days of creation. So, we're going to start in Genesis 1. And we're just going to kind of open that up, kind of read the whole Bible, and talk about creation. And no, it's going to be a little different than that today. But for me, and I know we got a lot of kids in here today, in Genesis, where it does talk about creation and how God created things, do you realize that, you kids, do you guys realize that God spoke these things into existence as He was going through creation? And that's kind of how that happens. And that's pretty cool, right? I mean, I still find that really cool. And I'm like 22, so, and I still find it really cool. It's pretty cool that God could say, "Let there be light," and then there was light, right? You like that? It's pretty right. We can't do that, can we? We can clap and allow it to come on. But we can't just, can we say light? Do we have that technology? Xbox on. Xbox on. Yes. Yeah, there you go. So we know the first day that God created light. So then there was a difference in light and dark. And then the second day, He separated the sky, the water. So there's sky, and then now there's water. Third day, He caused the water to gather to itself in different places. Now that's pretty cool. Because it takes a lot of work for us to do that. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever seen a mud puddle or something? And you know, that's created because of a pothole or something like that. But how do we make water go into one location and stay there? We can do that today, right? Yes, we can. All right, let's start this over. How long? It's been about a month since I've been up here, but I do like it when you talk back with me. So that's going to be good, right? All right. You ever into a swimming pool? Yep. Me and your mom's about to have a talk. Yes. So you guys have been to a swimming pool, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now all that water's gathered in a place, right?
Yes.
In one place. And it's contained. And it can't really go anywhere unless you splash, right? You splash it outside. So if you're in a big pool and all that water's gathered in one place, have you guys ever thought about the work that went into making that water gather in that one place? Not really. It takes a lot of work, a lot of hard labor work. There's pouring concrete, and well, first there's digging the hole, and that's pretty hard work. You got to know exactly the depth and how to dig it, and the grade of your yard and things like that. So there's a lot more work goes into it. But then there's pouring all this concrete, and then you get fancy, then there's tile and all this kind of stuff. But it contains water. There's a lot of work that goes into that, right? But God just spoke it and said, water is going to be gathered in certain locations. And we have oceans, right? Can any of the kids, I'm saying kids so that Kristen doesn't try to win, but can any of the kids tell me what oceans we have?
Pacific.
Yes, you. Huh?
The Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, and Antarctic.
Cool.
Wow.
All right.
There you go.
10 times 10 is 100.
And 10 times 10 is 100.
That's right.
Awesome. And that would be my child. And so he's like his mama wanted to win. He got the last one. No, you're right. And so, but anybody ever been to the beach? You need, yeah. You guys like that? Have you ever watched when the waves crash? You don't watch when the waves crash? Huh. You like it? You like watching the waves crash? Isn't that pretty cool how when they come in and then they crash and then they go back out? It's like God drew a line and said, you can only go this far today for 12 hours. And then he went through another line and said, all right, now you can go this far for another 12 hours. But it just makes that all work. But he spoke that into pure existence. We can't do that. But that's what makes it cool. Anybody have a garden? Anybody like to plant gardens? Well, you guys are just planting gardens, huh?
Apparently I do.
You like it? Awesome. Well, I have a garden, sort of. And I have a few plants, I'll say it that way. And you know, God like spoke into existence the vegetation and said this plant was going to produce this seed and this vegetable and all that kind of stuff, and it just happened. And that's really good. And I talk to my plants all the time. I go outside and talk to them, and now I've heard if you sing to them, they'll grow better. And I've never tried that. You ever tried that? You have any house plants inside? No? You don't water any plants at all or anything? That's fine. Anybody else have house plants? I know you have a house plant. Yeah. You guys ever sing to them and watch them grow? Yeah. No. Because that doesn't work, right? No, that doesn't work. But it takes a lot of work for me to watch my plant go from a seed to a plant and then produce any type of vegetation or any type of fruit and then therefore produce any more seed. There's a lot of work that goes into that. I'll be honest, I build boxes now, so it's a little easier, and then I go buy some dirt and I dump them in there. Now used to, I had a pretty decent sized area for a garden, and I would till that with a big tiller, walking behind it, and it was hot. And when you got done, you still did this. But as the hard work goes into that, and that's just preparing and getting the soil ready. And then there's weeds. Then you plant your seeds, and you're anticipating them to come because of the sun and the water and all that kind of good stuff. But so you're anticipating the plants to grow, but when the plants start growing, the weeds start growing. So then you have to go through and pull all the weeds out, and that just sucks. That's bad. Weeds are horrible, but it's a lot of work. And if you don't go every day to pull the weeds up, then the weeds will grow with your plants and get in there and mess them all up. And then you can't see whatever it is you're trying to grow. So there's a lot of hard work that goes into that, where God can just kind of speak these things into creation and make it happen. We, on the other hand, have a lot of hard work and a lot of pain and a lot of, we have to wait. And what do we love to do more than anything else? Wait. Because we're also just good at waiting, right? Don't we all love to wait and watch things happen in the process? No, we do not. Sometimes? No. Not unless you can visually see it just happening before you. You know, no one likes to wait. We like for it right then and right now, right? But that's kind of how God worked, in the 7 days of creation, spoke things into existence, and then there was. And he can do that, and that's awesome. But I think at the same time, that makes us sometimes want to speak some things into existence and make it happen. But that's not how it works. Last night I wasn't going to be here today, so I was going to go to work. But So last night, as I was preparing for today, Tony and I were at his parents' house with family, and we're sitting there, and I said, "Do you want me to do tomorrow?" And he said, "Yeah, that would be great." And I was like, "Well, you know, what are we doing?" And he's like, "I got some stuff." He said, "But, you know, let's figure it out." So I'm like, "Boy, you know, I like it." You know, it's like, "All right, God, give me something." You know, so we kind of talked a little bit, and then, you know, and then really I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for God to really just give me something, because I'm depending on Him to help me in this, because I want it to be a good message today, and I believe that He's got something that He wants to communicate. And some time went by, and I think I fell asleep. And I think I woke up one time and they were pointing at me and laughing at me because I was sleeping. Because it was late. It was like 11 o'clock or something. But and then it eventually it did happen. But in the waiting, I got tired and I got depressed, and I said, "This is, oh boy, you know, tomorrow's the day, and I have to be ready, and this is not going to be good because I have nothing." And I really, God, I really need you to give me something. So He gave me a little nap. And sometimes that's all you need is a nap. So I wake up and it's like I'm in Twilight Zone. It's like everything's kind of still foggy. But at the same time, there's things going on in the house. And where I was sitting last night, I could see in the different rooms. My daughter was sleeping on the couch beside me. And I remember as I woke up and I was watching her sleep, because she's beautiful. Where is she at? She's laying down because she doesn't feel well. But, so I'm watching her sleep because she's beautiful. And that's why I like to do that. And I was just starting to think, you know, to myself, you know, God, I can't wait to see who she's going to be one day. You know, I'm so excited she's really great at gymnastics, like really great. And, you know, at first I just thought it was kind of, Mom said she was good, so she's sort of good, but she's really, really good. And we're very impressed. But so now I think about things like gold medals. You know, I'm thinking about gold medals, and I'm thinking about college scholarships and things like that. This is what I'm thinking of. But you know, but I'm looking at her. I'm like, what is, you know? I so can't wait to see what it is that God's going to do in her. You know, what is it? Who's she going to be? How many people's lives is she going to affect? And how is He going to use her in life? And she's 10. And I'm already thinking these things, but I'm wanting to push it forward. I'm wanting it to, I want to see it now. You know, I don't want to wait. I'm enjoying this time, I really am, of watching her grow and stuff like that. But I also anticipate so much the result. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see God's work. I want to see the finished. I want to see what He's going to do, how He's going to use her. Right? You guys kind of understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You guys with kids, you feel what I'm saying, right? We enjoy this time, but at the same time, there's a lot of pain sometimes, right? They get sick. They need baths. You got to buy them clothes. You got to make sure they finish their homework. You got to make sure they do good in school. And sometimes it's a real headache. But we still love them. But sometimes, you know, I just want to kind of skip ahead and see. You know, I want to see through God and see what He's going to do. I want to see His creation at the point of where it's all just, wow, that's what He did. Right? Can you guys relate to me a little bit on that? Well, then I look over into the next room, and like I said, we were at Tony's parents' house last night. Many of you know that his mother is not doing very well right now. we expect her to go home to Jesus any day. And as she is laying in the bed, is unresponsive to anything that's going on. She's just kind of there. I can see through the door, but I can see what's happening. And there's the grandchildren are sitting on the bed, you know, and they're sitting up there with her, and the daughter-in-law, the daughter, you know. So the room's kind of full of people just kind of sitting in there. And I just kind of stop and I listen for a minute because of the conversations and what they're talking about, and I was just amazed at, in a time of hurt, in a time of this going on, and you know, because we're hurting, you know, we're hurting, because we're expecting what's going to happen. So, you know, we're filled with pain. It's bad, you know, and that's for ourselves. You know, it's hard we don't know what state she's in and what kind of pain and things like that she may be feeling. But there's this process. And I'm going, what is God doing in this instance? So as I'm watching them, it's the conversations that are happening, where they're talking about how some of them lived out of town, and as they would come once a year, and they got to spend the night. One of their greatest memories is this: every year they knew they were coming, and they were going to get to spend the night with Grandma and Grandpa. And so they were talking about, there was Pastor Tony's children and his sister's son was in there. And they were talking, and he's like, we never got to sleep in the bed. And Lisa and Kristen are talking about getting to sleep in the bed between Grandma and Grandpa, and how that was such a great memory. And so I'm just watching these things that are happening, and I'm asking God, what are you creating? What are you doing right now? Because I still want to see what's happening here. You know what? Because there's something going on. You know, this time where family is coming together at a time that's very painful, but there's also something very beautiful that's happening. And we sometimes miss to see that he's in the middle of that too, and something great's about to happen, and we don't know what it is. But I'm watching that, and then I look over at the table in the kitchen. Now this one's a good one, because at the table in the kitchen is Grandpa, and Grandpa loves to tell stories, and at the table with him is Pastor Tony, his son. And my son Isaac is sitting there. And I look over and they're talking about clocks. Clocks. Like a clock. You know, I don't even know how many people even have clocks in their home anymore. Right. I mean, I guess some of us may have a clock here or there. But for the most part, you know, you hold your phone in your hand all the time, and it tells you what time it is, right? They don't do clocks a lot anymore. But I'm listening to him talk about stories of clocks, and I'm watching my son and your Pastor Tony, and it is like it's the first time they've ever heard it. And I know that they've heard these stories before, but it's like the first time they've ever heard it. And Grandpa is just talking about these clocks and different stories. And there was a joke, and I was going to try to remember it, but it's really hard to tell Grandpa jokes. But the moral of his joke was he walked into a clock store and asked him what time it was. But you'd have to understand how he tells the jokes. But I was going, as I'm sitting here and I'm watching this, I'm going, what's happening? What is God creating in this moment? And it's like God took me out of the real of everything that was happening and set me in this place to see. Like, I don't know, it's kind of like, what is it, Christmas Story? Where they take him around and show him his life. Huh? It's a Wonderful Life. You guys have all seen that. It was kind of like that. I'm sitting here and just different things are happening, and it's like I'm not really there, and I'm just kind of in it and watching these different things happening. And God's having a conversation with me the whole time. You know, where my question to him is, what are you creating in these moments? I want to know right now, God, you know, what is the significance of Pastor Tony, Grandpa, and my son talking about clocks? What's happening? What's going on there? What's happening in there on the bed where all the grandkids are piled up onto the bed with Grandma? And they're talking about their stories and their memories and things like that. I want to know, you know, God, what are you doing? But it's a process. God's going through something, and even though it's painful, even though we were all there in a situation where it hurts. We walked in the door, and we know why we're there. You know. But what's God doing in those little areas, in those pockets that, like, he took me and said, let me show you this, and let me show you this, and let me show you that. And as I'm getting to see that, you know, now the question is, what is he doing? You know, what's being created here? And it's going to be something beautiful. It's going to be, and that's all he would tell me. It's going to be something great. I was like, well, what is it? But at the same time, you know, and all this worked out to have a message for today. And it is kind of like, God, it is proof that he exists. It is proof that he is controlled. It is proof that he is God. It's proof that his hand is in everything, in all the details. Because I'm just looking for something to talk about, and he showed me something beautiful. I'm looking for a message. I'm needing to hear from him, and he's blowing my mind at what I'm getting to witness and what I'm getting to see. At the same time, I'm still anticipating what's the end result of this? What's going to happen? You know, what is the significance of that conversation about clocks? What is the significance of the grandchildren all piled up on the bed with Grandma in there? You know, why does my daughter have to work so hard to be what she wants to be one day? Because she has to train like 4 or 5 days a week. Works muscles and all that kind of stuff that hurt afterwards, because, you know, we do a couple sit-ups a day, right? A week or something. We know how that feels, right? Not all of us are bodybuilders like Joe, but so we feel that pain. So why? You know, I'm questioning. You know, why? Why does all this middle stuff have to take place? You know, what's the significance of that? Why? Because God can just speak it, you know. God can just speak things into creation. He can speak what's happening. I don't know when he spoke this, but he spoke this today. And here we all are. And we're all different. We're all in the same location. We all come from many different places and many different backgrounds. But here we all are today. And God, at some point in time, spoke this into happening. And knew just who he wanted to have here at a certain time and a place. And here, and I'm assuming that what I'm speaking today was in me well before last night. See, he already had all this worked out. See, he could do all that. So what's the meaning of all the stuff in between? What's the deal with the having to suffer and the pain and the waiting and all this kind of stuff? It's part of the building process. It's part of the creation. It's part of what has to happen. Because it develops several things in us. It builds our character. It helps define, it equips us for what it is that He's prepared us for. A lot of us sitting here today, and I still have this question. A lot of us sitting here today, we want to know, what's God doing with my life? Are you happy where you're at right now? Is anybody like really where they feel like is their ending destination? Are you there? Did you wake up this morning and celebrate life and think how glorious it was because you're finally at your place? You finally have your title. You finally have you finally have the life that you felt like God had for you and it was meant to be. Are you there? Or not? Are you kind of sitting today and wondering if that is ever going to happen? Or what's the process of having to get there? Or are you still sitting here today wondering and waiting on God to even give you a glimpse of what it is? So there's no one in this room that doesn't go through all those many phases of life. We've all been there. Yeah, I think back on the creation of this church and how many years that it took for this to happen. And it all ties back into today, last night, things that I've shared with you so far today. Pastor Tony has the character and integrity and the love for people because of his mother, because of his father. But there was a life that he had to live. And there's a certain point where God had everything in control and was working it all out to get Tony to the point of Transformation House can now exist. And then he wasn't the only one that he did that with. Because now if you look around the room, you're here. You lived a life. You did things. God was working in you and creating you. And put you in a place where now you're here. And you're part of a church that is the closest to what Jesus meant for a church, I believe. I think we're it. Because I look around and we're all different. We don't look alike. Like during break, Tim's over here going, I'm half Puerto Rican. And then he said something about a Ritz cracker. I don't know. But, I don't know. But see, we're all different. We're all so many backgrounds and come from so many different places. And God's put us all together. And so many cool things are happening. But it didn't just happen today. God didn't speak it into existence to happen. Like we didn't all just go, here we are. It wasn't like light and day. He didn't speak it that way. We were being created. We were being built for today. Your whole life and everything about you is being built into creation. And none of us are there yet. We're not at that final resting place, that destination of what He's created us for, what we're going to accomplish, what we're going to do. I found scripture in Romans. It's chapter 8, and it's verses 26 through 28. And I'm going to read this in the Message because I like it in the Message. And you'll like it in the Message too. Meanwhile, the moment we get tired in the waiting. Anybody tired today? All right. Meanwhile, the moment we get tired in the waiting, God's Spirit is right alongside, helping us along. Anybody feel like the Spirit's beside you today and helping you along? Get some more hands. I love it. If we don't know how or what to pray, are you there? Are you tired of praying? Are you tired? Are you tired of asking? I'm gonna be real with you. Sometimes I am. Sometimes, I get to that place where, I feel like I've asked him 1,000 times. Why? Why is this still, what are we doing? What's your plan? Give me something. Show me a sign. Anybody ever prayed for a sign? Yeah. Yes, we pray for signs. Anybody ever prayed for God to audibly talk to you and say, where everybody else in the room hears him, this is God. And this is what's going to happen in your life. Because then you know. Because then you feel like, yeah, there's witnesses now. We heard this. That's real. That's real stuff. This isn't. I'm not up here saying that those thoughts and those things that we feel are unrealistic. They are. It's all real. I do. Pastor Tony does it. Pastor Tony, yeah. Same way. We all live the same kind of life. Ask the same questions. Talk to God the same way. I was reading scripture. If we don't know how or what to pray, it doesn't matter. He does our praying in and for us, making prayer out of our wordless sighs and our aching groans. That's a good word right there. Because when we're frustrated, when we're in that time of waiting and we don't know, and you have your little moment of, he knew what that meant. You didn't have to audibly say, God, I'm tired. You didn't have to say. All you had to do was, and he knew. He can make a prayer out of that. He can make a prayer out of that. He knows us far better than we know ourselves. He knows our pregnant condition. Now somebody tell me what pregnant means. Yeah, Tim. Tim's so excited. I'll tell you what pregnant, not happy. What pregnant means. You got nothing. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Being filled with something.
Being filled with something. I like that. Anybody else got? About to give birth? What you said? That's right.
When the human larva is contained in
Nothing.
That's your child, isn't it?
I looked it up because I've looked it up before, but I want to look it up again.
Full of meaning.
There you go. Full of meaning. Allie, you're cheating. Smartphones. Full of meaning. Highly significant. Of great importance or potential. Pregnant condition. So you're in your pregnant condition. Now, us guys may not understand what this means, but it's not the most comfortable situation, right? It's hard to sleep. It's hard to sleep. There's a thing moving around inside of you. Sometimes it tries to get out. Poking. That's going to happen too, but I'm talking about in the pregnant condition. You can eat stuff, and that don't turn out so well, right? Sometimes that pregnant condition doesn't like the salsa that you just had, or whatever else it was. But what's in there is something great. What is inside of you in your pregnant condition is highly significant and of great importance or potential. So even though that it doesn't feel or look so good right now, what's inside of you is of full potential, high greatness. God has something inside of you that is just going to change the whole landscape of your thinking, your world, and He's going to use it for far more than you ever thought that you'd be used for. He knows our pregnant condition and keeps us present before God. That's why we can be so sure that every detail of our lives of love for God is worked into something good. Every detail of your life. Everything, He's working for something good. Now we struggle with that because we can't see it yet. Isn't that why we're struggling? Because we like to see. We like to see. The scripture that the video shared with us, 2 Corinthians 4:18. You know, so we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. This is where we have to go now. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is seen is eternal. Meaning endless. Eternal means endless. It doesn't ever end. It is forever. The unseen is forever. The unseen is never ending. What is seen is only temporary. Now, when you read Scripture and you really say it that way, it kind of changes the landscape of how you think about things. I'm looking at all of you today, and you're temporary. I look at this building that's temporary. I look at this equipment that's temporary. But the unseen, the thing that is full of meaning and highly significant and of great importance and potential that's inside of you is never ending. It's eternal. But it's unseen. But through our whole walk and our whole process, God is using it for good. Now, I've already kind of shared today that we can all relate to this, right? We all get tired. We all get to the point of, sometimes pain is pain. It hurts. We don't like it, right? We don't like pain. I don't like pain. But it's part of what we have to go through. But we can trust that God, because in Scripture He tells us He's with us. We can trust that God is with us. And that He's with us and walking us through this. And He never leaves our side. And that maybe now we have a little more understanding that everything that happens, He's creating something for good. Your situation right now isn't the end. Your circumstance of life right now isn't the end. Even your happy state that you're in right now, if that's where you're at, and you feel like you're on top of the world, that's not the end. God is working everything for the good. And the unseen is eternal. The unseen is never ending. So we're charged to live by faith. Right? We're charged to live by faith. We believe in a God because of faith. Right? I've not seen him. Have you seen him? So we're living by faith. We're trusting in a God by faith. Our eternal salvation is by faith. By faith we trust that Jesus Christ is our Savior. We trust in Him to live our life. We are also in a place where we trust and have faith that God is in control of everything that's happening right now, and that He's working it together for something good. We may not see what He's up to. We may not understand what He's up to. But something good is around the corner. Because what He tells us is everything is working together for the good of Him. For us. Eternally. That's really cool. I think that's really cool. So today, I want to leave us where I pray for you guys. I want to pray that that you can keep the faith, have the faith. I want to pray that you can trust God, even in your certain situations. I want to pray that you know that good is going to happen and come to what you're waiting for. Does any of the kids know what they want to grow up and be today? Like when you grow up, do you know what you want to be? No, kids? What do you want to be when you grow up? A princess. Well, it's an awesome answer. I think you're probably already a princess. Well, look, now you're already there. Yes. You want to be Green Lantern when you grow up? That's pretty cool. How's that happen? So you have to go look for a ring. Is that what you have to do?
Actually, the ring has to buy
There we go. The ring's got to find you. Yes, sir.
Spider-Man.
You want to be Spider-Man?
They told me to grab something
Awesome. Any other kids have an idea of what they want to be? What you want to be? You want to be a cop? Awesome. That is great. You gonna make a big difference, right? Huh? You gonna give me a ticket if you pull me over? Huh? You hear that, Pastor Tony? We're exempt.
I want to be a lawyer.
A lawyer
I want to be a registered nurse.
and a registered nurse. An attorney and a registered nurse. Like on the good side or the bad side?
The good side.
The good side? Okay. And a registered nurse. That's a lot of giving of your life and time. That's awesome. So do you feel, oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
I want you to want to be an animator.
An
or
animator.
actor.
Wonder Woman. Awesome. An animator or what?
Actor.
An actor. Cool. So is something wrong with that? We're all parents kind of sitting in the room today, and we're listening to the kids' answers, and some of them are obviously a little younger than some of the other kids. But hey, what if there is superhero in their life? What if she lives a life where we look at her and admire who she is as a person and what God's done in her life, and see her as a princess. What if? What if God is working that in our children right now? I don't think it's that far-fetched. I can see superhero in some of these kids. I can see police officer. I can see that. You gonna ride a motorcycle? Huh? No? You just want a police car, or you want like an SUV, or a police car? You like those? Those are pretty cool, aren't they? They go fast. Makes a difference. And an attorney, a registered nurse. Just think about, I mean, look, we've got superheroes, probably our youngest. And then we come over here and we have an attorney and a registered nurse. And truthfully, the dreams aren't that far apart. Because we often always see, I do, when I go into a hospital, a registered nurse is a hero to me. Because they're taking care of you. I need more drugs. You got it. If I'm in pain. And if we're in trouble, we always need a good attorney. But those things are already inside of our children. They're in there. And if I had to say, I think some of the adults are sitting in the room today, and maybe you can kind of flash back a little while ago and remember when you wanted to be Green Lantern, or a cop, or have some certain dream happen. Tend to live in the dream. That it's still in there, but something happened, or it's not fully complete yet. And God is still in the creation and the building process of making it happen and developing it. I say we encourage our kids to be Green Lantern, to be a princess, to be an actor, or an animator. Animators are cool. I don't even know where that field's going anymore. They do all kind of crazy stuff. A police officer. That'd be huge. Registered nurse and attorney. That's all in them. But oftentimes as parents and as adults, we all sit around and maybe sometimes we kind of go, yeah, that's not real realistic that you're going to be Green Lantern. Let me go ahead and crush that for you. Let's go ahead and walk around the long way to get to where you have to be. Instead of just letting them always chase their dreams and become what God's got inside of them. That supernatural, that, what words did I use? Full of meaning, highly significant, great importance and potential. It's in them. It's in us. And God's still working on it. Let's have faith that He's going to finish that in us today.